To Australia
Yes.
now. Very, very sad news over the weekend. That attacker who killed 6 people at a busy shopping centre in Sydney. He has been named as 40-year-old Joel Cauchi, and police say that it appears that his motive may have been to target women.
You might have seen our interview earlier with a local reporter, and he was moved to tears. He's a young father, because the victims included a mother who died trying to save her 9-month-old baby who was also being stabbed. She literally threw this child to 2 passers-by. That's the reality. Now, lots has been said about should this man have been in society, he'd have mental health issues. Karen Webb, the Commissioner of New South Wales Police, says that detectives are focusing on the fact that most of those stabbed, 5 out of 6, were actually women. Have a listen to this.
Well, the videos speak for themselves, don't they? And that's certainly a line of inquiry for us. It's obvious to me, it's obvious to detectives that seems to be an area of interest that the offender had focused on women and avoided the men.
Well, joining us now is journalist Sophie Ellsworth. Good morning, Sophie. Police over there have said that women were a specific target. What else do we know about the attacker, Joel Cauchi?
Well, I wish I was here talking to you under better circumstances, but this is obviously a tragic situation that's rocked Australia and made headlines all around the world. And we're learning more and more about the murderer, Joel Cauchi. He's a 40-year-old man. He was living in Queensland. He was a rough sleeper at times. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia at a younger age. And he'd recently relocated to Sydney. At times he was living in his car. And he had this obsession with knives. We know in that attack, and we've seen the vision that's gone all around the world, that he was carrying a 30-centimetre knife that he was running around stabbing people with. And just this afternoon, his parents came out, obviously very distressed, and spoke about him. His father said, look, to you, as in the media and the Australians, he's a monster, but he's my son, and he loves him. But they did say earlier that the policewoman, Amy Scott, who shot Joel Cauchi dead in the Westfield Bondi Junction shopping centre, made the right move. A lot more lives could have been lost.
Sophie, I always think it's difficult, isn't it, for parents in that scenario? Of course, it's their son, but he's just killed 6 people in cold blood. And you know, the gentleman, the guy that came to the help, and all those people, horrific.
I think that the family, actually, of Joel Cauchi, they reached out to the police officer, the woman who ended up shooting their son dead, and offered her well wishes because of how difficult it would have been mentally for her.
We completely agree. We can sit here and we can go, Sophie, can't we? You know, why... You know, if he had mental health problems, why didn't society, the family know more about that? You know, why on earth was he able to have these knives, this fascination? But all you think about is the victims. I'm very interested in your country's response. Your country is one I admire greatly, actually, but you're quite hard on certain things. It's not to get into an immigration debate, but I'm wondering what the response amongst the Australian public is to this and knife crime and violence as a whole, really.
Well, we're still trying to come to terms really with what has happened. And then there's claims that there is potential that he was targeting women. That's yet to be determined yet. But you can see of the 6 victims, 5 are women. There's a lot of questions that we still don't have answers to. Was there enough security at Westfield Bondi? It's a giant shopping centre. It's one of the largest in the country. It's very iconic location, as you would be familiar with. Bondi Beach is one of the most beautiful locations in Australia, and many Brits are familiar with. Questions are being asked about, you know, how long was the response? How was he able to run through this multi-level shopping centre, wielding a knife, stabbing a baby in a pram? I mean, this is just crazy stuff. And you'd like to think Australia is a very safe country. You know, a lot of people are proud of this country for being such a safe place to live. But this has put a lot of doubt in people's minds and questioning whether it is safe to just go out on a Saturday afternoon, like many of these people, including this mother who died, who her young daughter has survived, the 9-month-old. They were just out shopping together on a Saturday afternoon. It was actually a beautiful Sydney sunny afternoon. and this absolute horror was unfolding in the eastern suburbs. It's almost too hard to fathom the reality of what has actually taken place.
Sophie Ellsworth in Melbourne, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you being on Talk today. Nick, do you know what I was just thinking then? Right? I was thinking to myself, so, you know, we talk about social media, you know, we talk about how things are far more reported.
Yeah.
Did stuff like this happen 20 years ago? Hear me out. Or is it, and I have to be really careful, suddenly people all across the land, the world, are running amok with knives and guns and weapons, and people will say, oh, it's this or it's that. Why? Is it copycat? Are people being dragged by other people doing it? Is it the reporting? Is it religion? I mean, it is frightening. You're just out in Sydney having a coffee.
I know. I think it certainly is the case that stories like this are far more on our radar nowadays because of the prevalence of social media. If you think about it, the videos of this man going through the shopping centre were on Twitter. They were online before they were even reported about in the news. So it's something that we're certainly more aware of.
I do think we also, as a world, need to be aware that there are many people suffering mental health illnesses who need to be dealt with, be that by the society or their parents.
Yeah.
These people need to be in
Absolutely,
hospital,
and I think the issue of femicide and violence against women and girls needs to be tackled in a very, very serious way and not just treated as another one-off incident, but actually as a...
No, I agree.
We
were talking upstairs. It's not for us to you know, it's still undergoing, but you wonder what messed up relationships or problems he had. But quite rightly, we will keep going with that.